Okay. So Psalm 38 is a little bit of a tough one. Makes sense. Today, of course, is October 7th. It has been a very difficult year for the world, especially for those of us who have connections with the Middle East, of whatever any connection you have with the Middle East, whether it's whether it's connection with Israel, whether it's connection with Palestine, whether it's connection with Lebanon, whether it's connection with Yemen, whether it's a connection with Iran, whoever you have, whatever connection you have in the Middle East, it has been a very hard year and continues, and the difficulties continue. And at least we can say that we are part of that we're if we're not part of the solution, at least doing this, we're certainly not part of the problem. So that's always good. So let's learn a little bit of Tehillim today, a little bit of Psalms. So this psalm has an unusual title. It's Mizmor David HaHazkir, a psalm of David, and he translated here as to say in time of trouble, and that's an interesting translation. Literally, lahazkir, and this, for people who know Arabic, will recognize the verb root, right, from the same verb root as dhikr, right, the remembrance of God. So in order, actually, literally, in order to remember. Um, I think he says here in time of trouble because this is, in fact, it's the kind of psalm that a person would say when you are having a time of trouble, right? If you were in a difficult situation, if you were feeling very troubled inside, this would be a psalm that you would say. But literally speaking, the name is Mizmor LeDavid, a song to David, um, in order to remember. And or in order to recall. It's very interesting. It's difficult to tell the difference between to recall and to remember in Hebrew. To make something remembered and to remember. And likely as not, we could go with both. We could go with both meanings in this case. That on the one hand, this isn't where we want to make known our condition to God, right? We want God to remember us. We want God to be aware of us. Remembrance is not just remember as in there was something that happened in the past and now I recall it, right? That's one kind of remembrance, but this is a different kind of remembrance. When we talk about the remembrance of God, for example, we're not talking about, okay, let's remember something happened in the past. It means that we're bringing something into our consciousness. And so when it says Mizmor David LaHazkir, it means let's bring this into, it's as if we're asking God to bring us into God's consciousness, so to speak. Or alternatively, right? It could also be understood for us, right? That this is a reminder for us. This is for this is a song, a poem for us to remember God, even in times of trouble, even in times of great difficulty. Linda says the Haskir to commit to mindfulness. It's a little exotic, but okay. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. That would work. That would work. I mean, certainly the idea of Zachor has a certain level of mindfulness in it, right? When we talk about uh, you know, Shamor v'Zachor when it comes to Shabbat, to keep the Shabbat and to remember the Shabbat. So part of the remembrance of the Shabbat is kind of constantly being aware of the Shabbat of the Shabbat presence. So okay. Okay. So let's Nathan, are you with us? Are you here? Okay, Nathan may be driving.
Yes, I'm here. I'm not driving. Yeah,
Would you like to read the Tehillim for us before I begin?
Okay, what sum are we on again, though?
38.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
We have a
Yeah,
tradition, so I don't want
thank
to break
you.
that tradition.
מזמור לדוד להזכיר, אדוני, על קצפך הוכיחני, ובחמתך תיאסרני, כי חיצך ניחתו בי, ותנחת עלי ידיך, אין מתום בבשרי מפני זעמך, אין שלום בצמאי מפני חטאתי, כי עוונותיי עברו ראשי, כמסך עבי, יכבדו ממני, הבאישו נמקו חבורותיי מפני גבלתי, נאוויתי שחותי עד מאוד, כל היום כל דר הילכתי, כי כסלי מלאו נקלה, ואין מתום בבשרי, הפוגותי ונדכאתי עד מאוד, שאגתי מנהמת ליבי, אדוני נגדך כל תאוותי, מחתי ממך לא נסתרה, ליבי זכרכר עזבני כוחי, אור עיניי גם הם איתי, אוהבי ורעי מנגד נגעי יעמודו, וקרובי מרחוק עמדו, וינקשו מבקשי נפשי, ודורשי רעתי דיברו אבות ומרמות, כל יום יגעו, ואני כחרש לא אשמע, וכאילם לא יפתח פיו, ויהי כאיש אשר לא שומע ואין בפיו תוכחות, כי לך אדוני הוכלתי, אתה תענה, אדוני אלוהי, כי אמרתי פן ישמחו לי במות רגלי, עלי הגדילו, כי אני לצל הנכון, ומחובי נגדי תמיד, כי עווני אגיד אדאג מחטאתי, ואויבי חיים עצמו, ורבו שונאי שקר, משלמי רעה תחת טובה, ישנאוני תחת רודפי טוב. אל תעזבני אדוני אלוהי, אל תרחק ממני, חושה לעזרתי אדוני תשועתי.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we're going to, within the first couple verses, we're going to run into 3 different words for anger. As I think I was, said before, different languages have kind of different richness in vocabulary. And we have a particular richness of vocabulary for words that all translate as anger. And I'm not sure. Yeah, thank you so much, Nathan. Thank you. It's not always clear to me what the different dimensions of those are, and I tried hard to kind of distinguish between them over the years. I just can't. I just have not found a way to do it. So if anybody has any suggestions about the differences between different kinds of anger, please let me know. Says so it begins, Adonai, oh God. Says, God, do not rebuke me in your rage. So this rebuke is never for the sake of punishment. Whenever we talk about rebuke, rebuke is always supposed to be constructive, right? So, but what does it mean for God to be angry? I don't know. I mean, whenever I think we use these emotion words in relation to God, I get angry because my will is not fulfilled, because I have an ego. So God may be angry because his will is not fulfilled, but not because he has an ego like mine. So it's not exactly clear. It's not exactly clear how we understand these emotion words when it comes to God, and that we often say kaviochal, as if, meaning to say that we understand that God doesn't have these anthropomorphic characteristics, right? God doesn't have emotions. God doesn't have physical movements and so on. But because the Torah is in the language of human beings, because we are human beings and we need to be communicated with, and therefore it uses the language we understand. So he says, God, do not rebuke me in your rage. He says, and don't punish me in your fury. Right? Again, two different words for anger, difficult to distinguish between them. You need the thesaurus when you're translating, to find different words for thing. And I think that's what he's done here. Don't rebuke me in your rage. That's a lower level, right? And then to punish me, or literally cause me suffering. So the first is basically verbal, and the second is, I'm not sure what the Ketzef. So Ketzef is also anger, but I'm not sure like where it comes from. And Chema, yeah, oh yeah, also anger. I mean, well, Chema probably from heat, probably from heat, passion, or probably some kind of like heating up. That's possible. Okay. So he says, Ki chitzecha nachatu bi, says your arrows were shot at me. It says, Unachat alei yadecha, and your hand came down upon me. So you see here that he's having this he's having a very hard day. He's having a very hard day. He feels that that he's being punished, that God's hand is pressing down against him. So another word for anger is zam. I remember first hearing my granddaughter use this word. She must have been maybe 4 years old, and she used the word zam, and I was shocked because it sounded like such a harsh word for such a little child, But that was the word she used. That she was angry. Just zam. It says, so flesh does not sound. My flesh does not sound. It's not my flesh is not sound, not whole because of your anger. And then because of my sins, because of my sin, there's no peace in my bones. I didn't see what Kaylin posted there, but I'll check it out. I'll check it out afterwards. But and again, the bones, the structure of the body, etzem also means the essence of something, right? So all the way down to the bone. There's no peace. You have two words here. We have wholeness and shalom, right? There's no, my body doesn't have my body there's no matom l'basari. I have no wholeness in my flesh. In shalom, I don't have no peace. I have no peace in my bones. The word shalom also related to shalem, also related to wholeness and completeness. So I'm a mess. I'm broken apart, right? I'm broken apart, and I'm in pain. And because of chatati, because of my sins. And chatati, right? Chet is the most of all the words for sin. Remember, we said, a rich vocabulary. Well, there's a rich vocabulary for words that translate roughly to sin, but chet is probably one of the lightest ones. It means literally to be off the mark, right? To be off the mark. Right? We have another word, avera, which means to transgress. It means that you've kind of leapt over a boundary, right? But chet is not like that. We didn't leap over a boundary. It means we've swerved, right? We missed the mark. Maybe we intended. Usually a chet is something that I didn't do on purpose, right? I intended one thing, but it got kind of derailed a little bit, and I did, and I did something else. He says, Ki avonotai avru roshi. He says, and my wrongdoings. Now we're using a more powerful word for sin. He says, my wrongdoings have overwhelmed me, right? Literally, as the avru roshi, they pass over my head, right? Even as if I'm drowning in them, right? Something passes over your head. It's usually because you're drowning, right? It's like you're literally overwhelmed by it. He says, I'm overwhelmed by my sin. Kimasa kaved yibgedur mini. It says, and it's become a weight that's too heavy to bear. Right? It's become a weight that's too heavy. You know, it's 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 just too much. It's interesting. The word kabed also means liver. Also means liver, right? It's what is it? What is I think melancholia, right? I think melancholia is black liver. Do I have the body part correct? I think melancholia.
It might be bile, something about
Is it,
bile,
is it
but
bile or is it?
I don't know. You might,
Well, the liver makes bile, so
yeah,
Oh,
black
okay.
bile.
it
Yeah.
doesn't
Black
matter.
bile. Okay. So black bile, but somehow or another, emotion is related to the I know, right? There's a bile duct between the liver and the right. So it's a any case, forget the liver for a second. So any case, this feels like a masa it feels like it's a burden. It's a burden that's too heavy for me to bear. Havishu Chaburotai. It says, and my wounds, my chavura, it's like a wounds, like my injuries. My wounds have become putrid and stinking. Right, they become putrid, inflamed. Mifnei says ivalti, because I was reckless. Right? Because I was reckless, because of my carelessness. So we have, he starts out with chet, right? He starts out with my mistakes. My mistakes, my mistakes are pressing down on me. And then I have my wrongdoings. I have the things, my real sins, right? Then I have my real sins, and my real sins are pressing, are overwhelming me. And finally he says, I become putrid and inflamed, right, by the ways in which I was reckless. Naveti shachoti admaod says, I'm bewildered and I'm very stooped over. Kol hayom says koder hilachti. He says, and all day I go around in darkness. I'm I'm in a fog. I'm confused. Just lost. Kichsalai malu nikle. Because my thought is interesting. He says that. This is Chasalai. Chasalai, I wouldn't understand his thoughts, but okay. He says, my thoughts belittled me. This is thank you very much. We come from so af is another one. We didn't get okay, so chema, right? That's zeal, fervor, yes. Tochacha we just had. They're interesting. Okay, thank you very much for we have a little bit of comparative etymology going on in the chat, so you can take a look. You can take a look at that. So it says, my thoughts belittle me. And again, it repeats a line from before. So it said before, it said my body. It says my body is weak. You know, that my body is not complete. My flesh, literally, my flesh is not completed. My flesh is not in integrity. It's not. How did he translate? My flesh is not sound. Right? He repeats that, and I'm not sure exactly how to understand. I should have thought about this more. What does it mean? Ki ksalai, my thoughts, but it can also mean it also means my foolishness. So I think it also means like foolishness. Fills me with belittling, right? Makes me belittled. You know, I was talking to somebody this morning, and they were talking about how, you know, they feel like they have an inner voice that always tells them there's something wrong with them. And, you know, and they told me this, they told me this as if, you know, as if they thought I would have never heard of this before. Right. But if, you know, can you imagine such a thing? And I said, can I imagine not having such a thing? I can't, right? I have it, right? I have it, and pretty much I think almost everybody I know has it. Maybe there's somebody in the world who doesn't have it, but whoever that person is, I will become your disciple. Okay, I'm ready to become your disciple, but most everybody has that critical voice inside. And so when he says, you know, I'm bewildered and, you know, stooped, and my thoughts belittle me, well, I think that's what he's talking about. I mean, at least that's what he's talking about for me. Is he's saying, like, you know, there's this dialogue that's going on inside that belittles me, and I've kind of all this stuff that I've done, real and imagined, right? Real and imagined. All of that is weighing down on me, and I'm now at this, and it's making me making me sick. It's making me sick, and I feel small. It says nifogoti v'nidketi ad ma'od, and it says I feel numb and very broken. Shagati Muhammad libi. And I wail, and I wail from the groaning in my heart. Nahamat is shagati, means literally I roar, right? I roar from the groaning in my heart. You know, there's it's and that Nahamat is like almost like the sigh of the heart. You know how sometimes you feel that inner thing where you feel a kind of inner sigh. You feel kind of inner sigh. It's just, and that inner sigh now, like it's coming out, right? It's not just able to sit inside, you know, that right? Now it's become a scream, right? It becomes a scream. And it says, and I feel numb, and I'm numb and broken. And now he turns to God. He says, Adonai, nidecha kol tavati. Now he translates it here as all my needs are known to you. But doesn't just mean that. It means all of my desires are before you. Everything that I really want is in front of you, right? You know the real me. You know, Harry will recognize this line as part of as the beginning of part of the beginning of Yom Kippur. I think it's like the first or second verse of da 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 da. Right? It's a very powerful line. God, you know, everything that I really desire, tava means desire, All my desires are known to you. Here I am fetching to you. I'm complaining to you and telling you about all these things which are weighing on me. But I know that you already, I know that you already know. I know that you already know. And it says, it says, Mimcha lo nistara. It says, and my signs are not hidden from you. And it's interesting. He uses that same word we said before, that the wail from the wail, the crying out from my heart, right? It says, Shagati, I roared out from the sighs in my heart. He says, but you know what? My inner sighs, they're not hidden from you. You don't need me to roar. Okay? You don't need me to roar. You don't need to complain. And no, because you can see everything inside. There's nothing that's hidden from you. Right? There's nothing about me. There's nothing about me that is hidden with you. Libi sachar, one of the most, to me, one of the most beautiful lines in all in the entire Torah. Libi sachar, literally. So Rabbi Nachman talks about this. Sachar means literally surrounded, right? He says sometimes you feel like, and Rabbi Nachman talks about this at some length, but sometimes you feel like you are completely engulfed in troubles. Like there's just no way out. Everything is messed up, right? My heart is surrounded. There's just no way out. There's nothing. There's no solutions. Just too many problems, too much weight. I just don't have it. So, okay. V'azavani kochi. And whatever strength I had, right, whatever strength I had has left me. V'or einai gam hem einiti. Even the light of my eyes is gone, right? But the glint in my eye, right? Whatever little shimmer of energy that I had left in me, the little bit of hope, the little bit of something that I had in me, that's also gone. My heart is completely surrounded. Sarchar. It's a beautiful word. It sounds like what it is. You could almost hear like the whirlwinds, sarchar, turning around the heart, right? The storm, right? This the heart encased in this horrible storm. And my eyes have also gone out. Ohavei eyes is my friends and my companions. Mineged so they stand away from my distress. Right? Even the people who love me, right? Even the people who care about me, right? They stand at a distance. They're not there for me. They're not there for me. Krovai, and it says, and the ones who are close are now far away. Krovai, the people who are close, the people who are closest to me could also mean my relatives, right? That's also, I think also there's an Arabic, it's an Arabic, close Arabic word, Arabic's kravai, I can't remember the word in Arabic, that means your relatives. So, the people who are close to me, he said they stand away from me.
The Arabic word is qulub, I believe, heart. That is kerev, as in insides.
Inside.
That's what I learned from my professor David.
Kerev, okay.
Qulub.
Kulub is different. Kulub is they have heart.
I learned from my professor that is when people talked about it as maybe they are related etymologically.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's
Qulub and kerev, insides. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, so the people who are supposed to be close to me, they're standing far away. V'nakshu mivakshei nafshi says, and v'nakshu, he says those who seek my life devise traps. That's a verb I don't know. Says vanakshu. Okay. But those who seek my life, they devise traps. He says, and the ones who wish me harm speak malice. Omermot kol hayom yegu, and they think, they I guess a better way to translate this, I think, would be, and they plot all day long. Thank you very much, Mariam. Okay, Akri, that's it. That's it. I knew it was something like that. So they planned, right? They plot against me all day long. It says, and I'm like a deaf person. I'm like a deaf person. Annika asked an interesting question. Any literature about similarities between Arabic and Hebrew? I don't know, but I'll see if I can find something for you. There's got to be a lot. I just don't know where it is, but there's a lot. The languages are very closely related. So,
Thank you.
okay, they're very close. So I act, right? So I'm like a deaf person, and yes, it's true. Yeah, there is kind of a nice alliteration at the beginning of verse 13, right? Vaynakshum vakesh nafshi, right? No, yeah, it's got nice alliteration there. Yeah, it does. It does. So now, actually, we even have a little bit. I think it's v'ani kechesh lo eshma. There's also a little bit of alliteration also. I am like I said, like a deaf person. I'm the person who lo eshma. I don't listen. You know, interesting. Reb Nosson Breslov says that here he's saying, look, I don't pay attention. You know, I don't pay attention to what people say about me. That David HaMelech, our author, our poet, okay, is saying, I don't listen to what other people say about me. That, you know, I know that other people, you know, attack me, that they have bad things to say, but I only care about what you think. Right? Because that's how he started out. He started out saying, you know, you're in your anger, you're chastising me, and I can feel your arrows. He says, and then there are all these people, you know, there are all these people, and they're doing these things against me also. He says, but then he responds to that, and he says, Ani kechesh lo yishma. He says, when it comes to them, I'm like I'm deaf. I'm deaf, and I don't listen. I respond like someone who can't speak. I don't open my mouth. I remain silent. Rabbi Nachman, as when Rabbi Nosson, when he talks about this verse, he says that that the high, you know, he quotes Rabbi Nachman, says that the highest level of teshuvah, of repentance, is to be able to hear yourself insulted and not answer back. Right? To hear yourself insulted and not answer back. Right? But not just that, to remain silent, not just to remain silent in kind of like, there's two kinds of silence. There's a silence which is just like, okay, I'm holding myself back and I'm just like, you know, and I really want to say something. That's one kind of silence. The other kind of silence is when I'm really silent inside and I'm calm inside, right? And so he's saying here that what he understands is that David HaMelech is saying, listen, I'm able to stay calm inside. They say whatever they want. They say whatever they want. I can hear myself insulted and not answer back. I'm still working on this one. I'm not very good at this one. I'm very hard. When people insult me, I tend to answer them back. And I usually make a big mistake when I do. So, Kiamarti. says, if I answered, Hakem Yishchuli, says they would have reason to rejoice, right? If I, as I just said, right? If I answer back, I'm going to say something stupid, and they're going to just laugh at me, right? We're just going to continue this, right? If somebody criticizes me and my response, and I give a response, that'll just give them more to criticize me for, right? It's not really going to work. It says, oh, I'm sorry, I translated it wrong. The aim piv tochechot. It says, and my mouth doesn't have criticisms, right? I don't answer with criticisms. I don't have any snappy answers, right? I don't have any snappy answers. I don't have any criticisms. I don't have any rebukes for them. He says, because my hope is in you. It says that you, my God, will answer them. Okay, I don't have to answer them. You'll answer them. It's your business, right? What's between me and you is between me and you. As I started out, what's between me and you is between me and you. And I feel the pressure and the pain of my own sins, and I can feel how that's breaking me. And there are these other people, there are other things on the outside which are speaking against me and whatever else. Says, but those things I don't answer. I stay quiet because I know that's also your business, and it's also your business, and you will take care of, and you'll take care of that too. And I trust in you that you're going to take care of that. And he says, it says, I don't know, he said, you'll answer. I don't have to answer. I don't have any answers. I'll let you answer. So I'll stop there because we do kind of change a little bit, change gears just about here. So there's a good place to stop, and it's also 1:46, and I don't want to take up too much of anybody's time in the world. So thoughts, feelings, yeah, feelings too. That's good. Thoughts, feelings, objections, revelations. We can have those. Inspiration.
I always have something to
That's-
say. I always say, go, please, thank you, go, yeah.
Who was
No, I was just thinking about this. Sounds to me like a very, very deep depression. And I recognize it. So
yeah, I mean it's
because
not
that's your brain just disconnects with everything, and nothing. There's like nothing to hope for. Nothing. It's just like darkness surrounds you.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about King David, if he had any sorts of issues like this, but
well, but listen, I mean, I love what Rabbi Nachman said about this, that this book is supposed to contain, all the possibilities of human feeling, right? So this is definitely part of human feeling. I mean, I don't think anybody could read this, right? I don't think anybody could read this and not say, oh, I know what this feels like, right? Any human being who's been on this planet for, more than 15 minutes, even in the first 2 minutes, right? They slap you and make you cry. I mean, it's full of pain, and you get derailed, and a lot of it feels like it's your fault, and you look at the stuff that you did and that put you in that position, and you're just like overwhelmed by that, and your heart feels like it's wrapped in like it's wrapped in wool, and that's people know that feeling. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I don't think it's just me.
I
Caitlin?
really enjoyed
Mm.
this as it were. I really did, sorry, Annika, if you,
No worries.
Well,
Oh.
Caitlin is the one with the grief rehabilitation.
well, I really just came from a session talking about that feeling of like, how do I hold all of this in I feel so putrid, putrid, I mean, that's
Mm.
just like very visceral language.
Yeah, it is.
Just,
It is.
whew. And I really just came off the heels of that and came into this meeting and certainly aligned with how my client was speaking, and just like, how do I hold all this? But that sin piece about missing the mark, that, and then the putrid feeling and the deep depression feeling that was mentioned, it's like that feels more like guilt and shame, it
Right,
doesn't feel
right.
like sin.
Right.
know.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's
But
and
it
that,
feels like sin too. It went inside of ourselves, I guess. Yeah.
right. Right. I mean, I think that there is a lot of shame here. And I love the comment
Mm.
in the chat about that some emotions are compared to physical body expressions. And I think that's I think that's because that's how we experience them. I mean, the line-
Metaphor speaks with two tongues,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you feel these things, I mean, I've had headaches that really felt like the world was on my head, that
Mm.
really felt like all my troubles were pressing down on my head. And that's a very physical sensation,
But don't we humans just work like that? That feelings affect our body and vice versa too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we do, and I think the song did a really good job of like taking us through that, right? And he, telling us, what that feels like. To be truthful, I was very comforted reading this morning.
Yeah.
I was very comforted because I thought, I'm not the only one. I mean, like I feel like most of this quite a lot. I mean, I'm not a depressive person, I don't think, but I don't know. I mean, I relate to this quite a lot, and so it's to me that it's nice to know that this is part of being human, and um, there it is in the holy book right there. So okay,
Well, our prophets were human too, so
right,
it's good.
right,
It's good that way we can relate to them too.
right. And this is and I love that one line, all my needs, all my desires are known to you. Sometimes I feel like when I'm talking to God, I feel like I'm trying to provide all this information, and at some point I like have to give up. Just like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I telling you stuff you already know? Like, why am I, just there, look, there it is. Okay, folks, Be'ezrat Hashem, inshallah, I'll see everybody, I'll see some of you on Wednesday. Those of you who can come, Anika, I hope you have a good thing and good work on Wednesday.
Thank you.
To everybody else, thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you guys soon. And if you know
Thank you.
y'all know where to
Thank
find me,
you.
so keep talking to me. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.